Championship Week Monday. Eagles and 49ers come Sunday at the Lincoln Financial Field to see who goes to the Super Bowl for the NFC. All right, Johnny Mac, I teased before we went to break me pointing out the ludicrousy of one media's outlet NFL standings. And you and I have talked about it here on the show previously, and it needs to not only be reworked into the conversation, it needs to be beaten to a pulp. ESPN's Power Index.
Do they still have Dallas and Buffalo ahead of the Eagles?
No, neither of those two. The Kansas City Chiefs have been number one. They stayed number one. The Philadelphia Eagles have rightfully moved to number two ahead of the Dallas Cowboys at this time. The numbers are in case you want them. Chiefs are number one at 12.9. Eagles are number two at 12. The Bengals have moved up to number three at 11.2. In fourth is the Dallas Cowboys at 10.2. Fifth is the Buffalo Bills, who fell from second down to fifth when they got their rear ends handed to them at home by the Cincinnati Bengals. At least they got that much right. Sixth at a 7.9 is the San Francisco 49ers. Now, I may have misinterpreted this, John. Sometimes my vision isn't great. Did I not see the San Francisco 49ers beat the Dallas Cowboys yesterday? Did that not happen on my television?
No.
Or did I just misread the score at the end? Was it actually Dallas who scored more points? And are we talking out our ass here about a 49er-Eagle matchup because it's actually Eagles-Cowboys?
Yeah, I don't I can honestly say I have never looked at ESPN's Power Football Index, whatever it is.
Power Ranking Index.
Power Ranking. To this day, I've never looked at it. I hear it from other people. I will probably never look at it. I don't know.
They're ESPN. They're supposed to be the leader in sports. How do you put this out there as information after the one team beats the other team? It just happened 18 hours ago. It isn't like, oh, well, it was 3 months ago. We kind of forgot. It was 18 friggin' hours ago.
I'm open to analytics more than most people my age. And I do think there's, in a sport where it's, one game versus one game, it's not a series. There are many upsets, and sometimes the best team doesn't win. I'm open to all that being reality and truth. But for this, because Eagles fans have been so upset about this all year, basically, I've heard about it so much. At that point, I'm like, I try to talk them off the ledge. I'm like, who cares? It doesn't matter. Number one, you're in the championship game. The 49ers are in the championship game. Much of that, if you ask me, what does it have to do with? We talk about disrespect. It has to do with Brock Purdy, I assume, just like me and Damo are disrespecting Brock Purdy.
You're in line with the ESPN Power Index.
Well, I don't believe in the quarterback, but I believe in the team. I believe I'm also one of those people that don't pick winners on the quarterback. And there's many times I talked about the Eagles and their two sort of recent runs to the Super Bowl. Look at the quarterbacks they faced. I just mentioned it to Damo. It's easier. I always talk about margin of error. Like when you have Patrick Mahomes at 100%, which he's not going to be moving forward. When you have Patrick Mahomes at 100%, you have a larger margin of error than everybody else. That to me is what great quarterback play is about. Not that, Patrick Mahomes is going to beat Joe Burrow, or Joe Burrow is going to beat Josh Allen, or Jalen Hurts is going to beat Brock Purdy. If it were quarterback versus quarterback for the Eagles, we could wrap it up right now. We don't have to do shows. We can take the week off because the Eagles are winning. I don't know if they are. San Francisco's got a lot of other good players that are going to have something to say about it. But if it's just quarterback versus quarterback, it would be easy. It's not, but I imagine, and I don't even know because I don't know how ESPN does this nonsense, but I imagine it has to do with the quarterback.
Here's what I know. It's an embarrassment, ESPN. you should be embarrassed. If you're going to continue to call yourself the leader in sports, you got to take this down. You can't continue to put it up there and upgrade it after games are over and done with, because the games are basically irrelevant. Because the 49ers beat the Cowboys yesterday, yet you have the Cowboys still ranked ahead of the 49ers. How can that possibly be? In what sports world does that make any sense?
Well, where it doesn't make sense is the 49ers have a better team than the Cowboys. That's where it doesn't make sense
Not
to me.
according to the ESPN Power Index.
Well, and that's why I said, because there are many upsets in the NFL. And as I just said, just like the tournament in college basketball, when you have upsets, when you have a one and done format, often the better team loses. My issue with this is San Francisco is clearly the better team. It's not about, the better team got upset. You know, you can make an argument that Buffalo's better than Cincinnati. Now, Cincinnati whooped their asses on one Sunday in January. But you can make an argument that Buffalo is better. You know, they've had a lot of injuries. I talked about Von Miller, the safeties. They've done a lot of things wrong. But you can make that argument, and I'm not going to kill you for it, even though Cincinnati just soundly beat them. This is not even close. That in any aspect, you can't look at those two teams and say, oh, that's, you know. And by the way, I'm a person who thinks, you know, Dallas would keep that game close, and they did, and ultimately lose it, and that's how it shook out. Dallas is a talented team. They've been very inconsistent. I think the quarterback's had a bad year. I think he played really poorly in that particular game. Yeah, I don't see how you do that. I don't. But at the end of the day, opinions are like, you know what, Jody? You got them. I got them. Everybody's got them. If you don't like it, turn to the next one, because everybody else does it too.
Right. Here's my opinion. I'm not sure whether it's obnoxiousness or stupidity that they put these rankings up there. It's one of the two. I just haven't decided which one it is. We're so much smarter than you that even though evidence right in front of our face tells us we're wrong, we're sticking to our analytical guns. And we're
that might defend analytics. In fact, that's what so many people have problem accepting analytics, because so many people that subscribe and worship at the altar of analytics act like that, saying, no, this is the way, this is the way, this is the way. And they don't, you know, look at other avenues. And that's one of the reasons you get in trouble. But from an analytics, see, that's my problem. From an analytics standpoint, it doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. You know, I thought, you know, for a brief moment, and Pro Football Focus put the 49ers on top of the Eagles as the number one team. And I thought, you know, Eagles fans would lose their mind over that, but nobody made a big deal out of it. It's all the same. Who cares? They're going to play each other. That's the beauty of it. Right. So you're going to get to see what happens.
Here's the funny thing. The Cowboys and the 49ers played each other, John, and the 49ers lost. 49ers won. And yet ESPN's analytics says the Cowboys are still a more highly ranked team. It's embarrassing, ESPN. I got a lot of friends at ESPN. I started my career in this business working in Bristol, Connecticut. Went back, did ESPN radio as well, did ESPN local radio as well. So I got a lot of ESPN ties. I got a lot of friends that work there, still work there. Embarrassing, ESPN.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Stone cold embarrassing.
But here's where I'm going to differ from you, Jody. You know how many people work at ESPN. Like 99.9 of those people that work at ESPN have nothing to do with the ESPN Power Football Index. And certainly
if they put it on their website, I'm going to hold them responsible.
Well, here's why. Because I constantly hear here on JAKIB Sports, one of our hosts will say something they don't like, and they'll say, "Oh, JAKIB Sports, everybody," and they lump us all together. That's not how it works. You see me and Jody argue all the time on our particular show. We don't agree. Why do you think we agree with everybody else? I can't stand as a media person when somebody says, oh, you're under that umbrella, and somebody else says something and they attach me to that. No, that's their opinion. That's their opinion. If I worked at ESPN, I would say, hey, I would still tell you the Football Power Index is full of you know what. So I'm not gonna. The only part we differ, Jody, I'm not gonna put everybody in ESPN under the ESPN Football Power Index umbrella.
Oh, I'm not. I'm doing an ESPN statement, not any individual who works for ESPN. This is an all-encompassing ESPN station as just an entity. It's embarrassing. I'm not saying Kevin Nagandi should be embarrassed. Kevin Nagandi's got his own opinions. He should be held accountable. Scott Van Pelt. Pick whichever individual want. They have their own. They present their own. ESPN as a company is embarrassing itself by continuing to put this out. That's the only thing I'm saying. All right, John McMullen, Jody McDonald, Mac. Coming back, we got CF, Chris Franklin, our bud who does Mondays with us, has all week long, done a great job. I expect him to do the same here with us. He's next here on